Aloha, Richard Halverson here. This is ICS211, and today I'm going to go over the challenge activities in Chapter 5. So let me share my screen. And we are ICS211. Let's take a look at the syllabus. And so we're going to look at the challenge activities in Chapter 5. So let's go take a look. And Chapter 5, the first challenge activity is in 5.2. Now, of course, I expect you to read all this, and I'll know because you get the points. You got to click through these things so you get the points. Okay, so make sure you do that. And let's look at 5.2. We go down here, and here we're talking about declarations and accessing elements. And so let's go down to the challenge activity, which is here. All right. Enter the output for the array. Okay, so what's going on here is, let's do the first one. And so we're just supposed to type what the output is. We're supposed to follow this. Okay, so we start out, we declare a constant called num elements, and the value is 3. And then we create this, we initialize this integer array called user vals is to be an array that's got num elements in it. It's got 3 elements in it. And we declare another integer called I, and we put the values 1 into the first index. We put the value 4 into the second index, and we put the value 7 into the third index. Of course, the index numbering starts at 0, so it's 0, 1, 2. And then we do a loop here from 0 to however many elements there are in user vals, which is 3. And so as long as I is less than 3, we execute the innards of the for loop, and we come back and we increment I by 1, do this test again. And once I hits 3, this is going to fail and we're going to be done. So it'll work for 0, 1, and 2. Well, we are printing out just 0, 1, and 2. So what comes out here is 1, and it's print ln. So we go to 1, 4, 7, enter. It's these values here. Let's check it. And lo and behold, I got all the points. Check mark there. Okay, you can do the rest of these. Let me do a harder one. I'll do 4. Okay. So here, same thing, 3-element array, initializing an integer array to be a new array with 3 elements, 3, 4, 9, and then we set 0, element 0 equal to user vals 1. User val 0 equals user val 1. So here user val 0 gets assigned to 3, but right here we overwrite the 3 with whatever this is, which is this. So we overwrite the 3 with a 4. So this is now 4, and this is still 4, and this is still 9. And we print it out, 0, 1, and 2, just like 4. So it's 4, 4, 9. Yeah. All right. So you can do 2, 3, and 5. Well, yours might be a little different anyway. So anyway, that's how we do that one. Let's do okay, let's start this one, because starting it means finishing it. I mean, if we finish one, we finish the whole thing. So I might not finish the whole thing, but let's see. Write 3 statements to print the first 3 elements of an array called that. For each statement with a new, follow each statement with a new line. And so in other words, if runtimes, this array equals that, Then the first three elements is 800, 775, and 790. So it prints 800, next line 775, next line 790. And we're supposed to write the code for that. Okay, so we declare a scanner because we're going to input some stuff. We declare a constant called num elements, which is 5. We declare an integer array, 5 elements long. We declare an integer I. We loop 5 times, reading in the 5 numbers, presumably these numbers or 5 numbers. And then we're going to write out the 3. Okay, so we're going to write out the first 3. So I think it's probably just something like for I equals 0, comma, I is less than 3. I mean, semicolon, plus I. And what we're going to do is we're going to write system out print line it's called runtimes of I, and then we close the for loop. I think that might be all that it is. Let's see. My goodness. All right. I guess I did the whole thing. All right. This one's a little different. This one, we read in the elements and write a for loop to print all the elements following each, where each element is followed by space. So it's, you know, if the course grades is this, then it prints out 7 space, 9 space, 11 space, 10 space, and then it prints them out backwards. 10, 10, 11, 9, 7. So first it prints it out forwards and then it prints it out backwards. That's all this does. So we're going to use 2 loops. Second one starts with, oh, clever. So the second one starts at the top and goes down. The first one starts at the bottom and goes up. Okay, here we're reading them in. That looks just like the thing we do to read it in. And then we need 2 more for loops. We need 1 for loop that does that prints out course grades. I got to print a space after each one, so I can do another print line, or I can just do plus space. And I guess I'll just do that. So it prints out course grades. It prints out 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then the next for loop looks like this. And it's going to go from the top to the bottom. It's going to start at, what's the hint? It starts at this one. Yes, it starts with this one. And then it goes down, So I'm going to make this minus minus. And it goes down to until while I is greater than or equal to 0, I think. Because we want it to do 0 also. Oh. So it's going to start out. So in this case, okay, its num vals is 4. So it's going to start out at 3. It's going to do 3, 2, 1, 0, and then that's it. So while I is greater than 0, greater than or equal to 0, it starts out with I at 3. So it goes 3, 2, 1, 0. And so it's going to print out 3, 2, 1, 0. So anyway, you can, I'm pretty sure that works. All right. So, and you can confirm that. All right. The next, next we learn about, feeling comfortable with arrays, iterating through arrays. Fine. And here we're iterating through arrays some more. And we get down to, make sure you go through all this, get all the participation activities points. It's nice to click on these just to see what's going on. And then you can mess with the code over here, try some stuff to make sure you understand what's going on. And same here. Okay, a common error is accessing an out of range element. Okay, here's some challenge. Ooh, look at all the challenge activities. Okay, let's do this one, first one. All right, start. Enter the output for the array. Okay, we're going to start out. We got a class, we got a main void. Num elements is 3. Declare a new array called user vals. It's an integer array of 3 elements. Assign some values. How is this different than the last one we did? Well, anyway, 0 to length 3. Print them out. Okay. 1, 6, 7. I didn't do them. Okay. Well, 1, 6, 7. Right. Oh, all right. Let's do number 5. Assign some values, 4 of them, and then we loop through. And if the value is less than 0, then print it out. Otherwise, don't. Do a print line. So we're only going to print out the values that are less than, when user vals of I, we're going to looping through I from 0 to 4, or 0 to 3, because it's less than 0, 1, 2, 3. We're going to check each time if it's less than 0. If it is less than 0, then we're going to print it out. Otherwise, we're not. So we print out the -2. And we print out the -8. Okay. All right. Yes. Very good. All right. What's the next challenge activity? Find the values in an array. So I think we're gonna we read in an array. And then we must read in a match value. Oh, okay, yes. First we read in a match value, and then we read in an array, and then we count how many times here, okay. Yes. Then we count how many times 2 is in the array, and then this prints it out here. Okay, so this reads in some value called match value. This reads in some array. Then we have to loop through the array. So I'm just going to use this as a loop. Why not? Because this loops through the array, doesn't it? And I'll put it right here. And I'm going to say if user vals equals match value, if it's equal to match value, then we want to count it. Oh, num matches. We got to start out by saying num matches equals 0. Num matches equals 0. Got to 0 out that thing. Space there. And we'll just put space there. Okay. And then I'll make this line this up. Doesn't matter. This is Python. This is Java. That doesn't matter. Python it would. So loop through them. If I is greater than match value, then we can just increment num matches. And then we're gonna print it out. He thinks. Print out num matches and print out match value. Okay. Do we print out the array? No, I guess we don't. Okay, let's see what this looks like. Oh, I got all the tests pass. Look at that. Nice blue check marks there. All right, that's good. I went and told you the answer, but that's okay. Write a for loop to populate the array. Read the integers from scanners. If num guesses is 3 and the user enters 952, then user guesses is populating an array with a for loop. All right. We create an instance of a scanner. We define a constant here. We define an array of integers that is num guesses big, so it's got 3 elements, an integer, and then we have a solution here, and then we print it out. Write a loop to populate this. Read integers using I guess I first have to read in with, no, this is already there. So I just have to have a loop to read it in, and then this thing prints it out. Well, I'm just going to copy this for loop right here. Copy. Now I'm going to go right up here. I'm going to do a right arrow sign there, and then I'm going to paste. And this is going to be input. And I'm going to input no, it's this scr int. Okay, it looks like this. I'll copy this. Copy. Okay, that's what I want here. Sure. Oh, but it's got to be user guesses. Copy. Paste. Int I, it's declared. So I go, okay, num guesses is the size. This creates an array that's exactly that size. So we can use this just like we use it here. This reads them in, stores them in the array, and this writes them back out again. Is that all we need to do? Geez. Let's do this time I'm really not gonna do the whole amplitude thing. Oh, I got 2 more here. All right, array test grades contains this many scores, write a for loop, sets some extra, total extra point received, critical, credits 100. So okay, so the idea is we're supposed to add up all the points over or that were extra credit. And anything over 100 is extra credit. So there's 1 extra credit point, no extra credit points, 7 extra credit points, and no extra credit points. So we got 1 extra 1, 7 extra 1s, that equals 8. So use 1 plus 0 plus 7 plus 0 is 8. So that's how this is supposed to work. Okay, so we got 4 scores. There's an integer called final vowels. Num vowels is for, we create an array, an integer array called test grades, got 4 values in it, 4 elements in that array. Initialize this, and here we read in the test grades, and right here we have a loop to sum up the next extra, some extra. Let's start this. First, we got to initialize sum extra equals 0. And then we need to loop. And I'm just going to take this loop here, copy, and I'm going to put it right here. And I'm going to have if test grades is, if it's greater than 100, then sum extra equals add onto sum extra 100 minus test grades I. Okay, got that? So for the 101, it's going to be 100 minus, oops, that's wrong. You see what's wrong with it? Okay, so this is wrong. There's something wrong with this statement here. You can fix it. Okay, what's this one? Printing array elements separated by commas. Okay, so all you gotta do is read in an array and write it back out with commas. Now, you notice that there's a comma after 90, a comma after 92, a comma after 94, but there's no comma after 95. So there's a couple ways, two ways we can do this. We can, okay, so we can either single out, we can either just print the first one, and then for all the rest of them, we print comma space number, and then comma space number, and then comma space number. So we can do it that way, where first we print the first one, and then for the rest of them, we print a comma and a space before we print the number. We can do it that way. Or we can do it where we print the number, starting with the first number, we print comma, we print number, comma. Trouble with that is that we got to put the space in there too. Well, let's see. All right. So we've read it in, and now we just have to write it back out again. I'm gonna copy this for loop. I like copying for loops. Just paste over that thing right there. And so I'm gonna go So I'm either gonna do if I equals 0 or I equals I'm gonna do it first. I'm gonna print out. It's easier if I just do. First, I'll print out. First, I'm gonna print system out. Print. I'm gonna print out the number. Hourly temp I. Okay, so I'm gonna print out the number. And then if the index is 1, 2, or 3, in other words, not this one, this is index 0. If the index is 1 or 2 or 3, I want to print comma space before it, before I print out the number. Yeah, so I want to do before I print it. Okay, system. No. If I is greater than 0, then system print comma space. Yeah. So if I is greater than 0, so in other words, it's not going to do it in this one because I is 0. But if I is 1, it's going to print the space, comma space before it. Okay, so I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do it this way, just so you can see. Oh no, I can't. This is a challenge activity. All right. All right. This is what it looks like if I don't have that special check there. Oh, I messed up. Oops. Out. Try it again. Okay, so see, this didn't work because it printed out the comma space, comma space, comma space, comma space. We don't want to put comma space when the index is 0. So what you want to do is you right here, you want to put if the index is greater than 0, then you want to do this. Otherwise, you don't want to do it. And I had it there before. All right, so that's the challenge activities for section 5.4. There's another challenge activity down here in section 5.5. We're talking about multiple arrays now. And so sometimes, you'll have two arrays where the indexes kind of line up. And so like here, you might have this array where you got, these are a bunch of letter weights for the letter, how heavy a letter is. And then this is a postage cost. And these indexes sort of line up. If the letter weight is 1 pound or 1 ounce or less, it's 49 cents. This is old, isn't it? If it's two ounces or less, it's 70 cents. If it's 3 ounces or less, it's 91 cents. And so because the indexes line up, that's how you keep track of them. So the indexes have to line up. So this is a multiple array where we're using same size arrays to store related lists. All right, so that's what we're talking about here. Make sure you go through and check them all out. Make sure you do all these participation activities so you get all the points. And we have a single challenge. Let's just do the first one here. Add each element in original list with the corresponding value in offset amount. Print each sum followed by a comma in most spaces. So I want to take 4 plus 2. Okay, so we got 4, 5, 10, 12, and then we got another one, 2, 4, 7, 3. We want to do 4 plus 2 and print out 6. Then we want to do 5 plus 4 and print out 9. Then we want to do 10 plus 7 and print out 17. And 12 plus 3 is 15. And we can put a comma there. Gee, we can be lazy. Okay, so we don't have to check any special cases or anything. All right, so we read up these things. We got to declare a constant called numVals. We declare an integer array called origList, and this is a new integer array of this size. A new integer array of offset amount. Declare another integer I. We want to use a scanner. So here we initialize up the original list. That's this one. Here we initialize up this offset. And right here, they didn't give me a for loop to copy. I guess I'm going to have to do my own for loop then, huh? I'll do this. For. I don't know what's going on. Oh, I have to press start. All right, here we go. Now here, okay. For, gotta do parentheses. I equals 0. I is less than. I can do numVals, or I can just do what's the convention? They do it this way, dot length. Okay, I'll just stick with the convention. Doesn't matter which one to use, I'll just use origList dot length. That's how many there are. And each time I want to do plus I. Each iteration I increment I by 1. And we have here print. Oh, no. System, capital system out print. I want to print orig list of I plus offset amount of I. I want to print out that number, whatever it is. And then I want to print out a comma and a space. By a comma, no space. Oh, no spaces, none at all. So just a comma. System. System out print comma. I think that'll do it. So why don't you test it and then do the second one too. All right, the last 5.7. What is this one? This was 5.5. There's something in 5.7. Let's go down to 5.7. Oh, swapping two variables. That's nice. How to swap variables. You need a temporary value. In Python, you don't need a temporary value, but it's a different someday you might learn Python if you don't know it already. All right, so loop modifying or copying and comparing arrays. Okay, so here program may need to modify elements while iterating through an array. Okay, sure. Well, here's example. We loop through and any negative value we change it to 0. So here we're looping through all the user vals. If user vals is less than 0, we set it equal to 0. Yeah, see here, see these ones are set to 0. That's an example. Okay, make sure you click through this. Make sure you know what's going on. Oh, copying an array. Yeah, you can't just say one array equals another array. You got to have a loop in Java. You have to do that. All right, here's some challenges. Ooh, plenty. All right, what's the first one? Write a loop that subtracts 1 from each element in lower scores. If the element is already 0 or negative, you make it 0. Otherwise, subtract 1 from it. So you subtract 1 from this, you leave this 0. You subtract 1 from this, and you make this 0. Subtract 1, 0. Okay. So here we'll read them all up. We're going to use a scanner. We're going to initialize this constant score size of 4. We initialize an integer array of that size. Declare another integer I, and we use the I as a loop variable. We loop through and we read in the scores. And then we're going to modify the scores. So I'm going to borrow the for loop. Copy. Oh, do I have to press? Okay, no. Paste. And if lower scores is less than or equal to 0, set lower scores. You notice I'm taking advantage of the fact that if it's one statement after the if, I don't have to enclose it in the curly braces. Lower scores of I equals 0. I also don't like to put spaces in between my operands either, but that's just me. Now, will this do it? Oh, yes. Oh, wait a second. Otherwise, if it's less than or equal to 0, otherwise, I need to have this semicolon. Otherwise, lower scores, you got to subtract 1 from it. I guess I can just do dash equals 1. And then I got to close this. I bet I don't have to put curly braces around the else. I think I only have to put them around the if. Okay. So if lower scores is less than or equal to 0, then we want to, if it's equal to 0, we want to leave it 0. If it's less than 0, we want to make it 0. But if it's greater than 0, in other words, if it's 1 or greater, then we just want to subtract 1 from it. Let's see if this works. Ah, yes, very good. What's the next one? Copy and modify array elements. Write a loop that sets new scores to old scores, shifted once left, with element 0 copied to the end. In other words, if we've got, if element also shifts around. So we start with 20, 30, 40, 10, 20, 30, 40, and the 20 shifts down once left, down. 30 gets shifted to the 20 spot, 40 gets shifted to the 30 spot, and the 10 gets wrapped around and put at the end. So that's why we have here the 20, 30. Okay, so we got to shift them down. And the first one goes at the end. Okay. All right, so here we read them in, and here we write them out. And we've got this array new scores. Okay, so I'm going to do okay, I guess I'm going to do a loop here. And I go if 0, it's old scores length, that's fine. They're both the same length, so it's fine. This is just the upper bound. Old scores, new scores. Okay, I want the position 1. This is 0, 0, 1, 2, 3. 0, 1, 2, 3. So I want 1 to go down to 0, 2 to go down to 1, 3 to go down to 2. Okay, so I'm going to do it that way. So I'm going to loop from 1 to 3. From 1 to, so it's going to be 1. It's going to be 1, 2, and 3 because length is 4. And so new scores equals new scores of I minus 1 equals old scores. So we have it starts out with I equals 1. So this is I equals 1. So this is going to be the 20, and this is going to be 0. When this is 1, this is 0. When this is 2, this is 1. When this is 3, this is 2. And then all I have left is I need to put into we're missing new scores. So we're missing we didn't put old scores 0 anywhere. Old scores 0 has to go up to at the end of new scores. So I'm going to say new scores of new scores. This is the top one. New scores length minus 1. The top one is equal to the bottom of old scores. 0. That's the 0th one. Okay. So this loop, okay, for these examples, this loop it starts out with I equals 1. So it's this one, puts old scores of I into new scores of I minus 1. So it puts old scores of 1 into new scores of 0. Then it puts old scores of 2 into new scores of 1. Then it puts old scores of 3 into new scores of 2. And so it does 3 of them, but it has one more to do, and that is taking the old scores of 0, which is this one, and putting it at the top of new scores. This is the top of new scores. That's going to be new scores 3. And this is the bottom of old scores. So this takes the bottom of old scores and puts it in the top of new scores. So I'm pretty sure this will work. All right, let's do the next one. Modify array elements using other elements. So this is supposed to write a loop that sets array elements to the sum of itself and the next element. That's interesting, except for the last element, which stays the same. So this is they're gonna change this one to 10 plus 20, because 10 plus 20 is 30. 20 plus 30 is 50. 30 plus 40 is 70. And then the last one stays the same. So we start out with initial scores and we add initial scores of I plus initial scores of I plus 1. Initial scores of I plus initial scores of I plus 1 equals the ending one, scores after loop. Okay, bonus scores. Okay, I guess we just use the same array too, which is fine. We can do that too. Okay, so here we're going to use a scanner. We're going to have our array size is 4. We initialize a new integer array called bonus scores for elements. We loop 0, 1, 2, 3, reading in bonus scores. And then we're going to have a loop which does the addition. I'm just going to borrow this loop here, put that thing right there. And so bonus scores, I don't have to go all the way up to, this goes 0, 1, 2, 3. I want to just go 0, 1, 2. So I'm only gonna go to 0, 1, 2. So I'm gonna subtract 1 from this. And I'm gonna say bonus scores of 0 equals bonus scores of 0 plus bonus scores of I plus 1. So this takes bonus scores of from 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, and 2. See, this is, instead of 0, 1, 2, 3, it's 0, 1, 2 because we're going one less. 0, 1, 2 is going to be 0, whatever, 0 plus the next one. 0, 0 plus 1, 1 plus 2, 2 plus 3. And we don't do anything with the last one. We don't do anything with index 3. Index 3 stays the same. So we don't have to do anything. This is one way of writing this equation, this expression. We can also just, of course, do plus equals this. It's a shortcut way. Let's do that. We take bonus scores of I and we add to it bonus scores of I plus 1. And then this prints them all out. So I think this will work too. All right, how are we going to do this one? Modify an array's elements. Double any element's value that is less than control value. So we're going to read in a control value. And then we're going to read in an array. And then we're going to loop through the array. And if there's any element that is less than the control value, we come across an element that is less than the control value, then we double it. So this is less than a control value, so we double it. That's why it's 4. This is greater than the control value, so it stays the same. This is less than the control value, so we double it. It's 18. And this is greater than the control value, so it stays the same. So to do this, here's the control value. Here is where we read in the array, and here is where we would loop. I'm just gonna put this right here, and I'm gonna loop. And if data points is if data points is less than the control value, if that's true, then we want to double data points. Data points of I equals, well, we can do it this way, times equals 2. Or we can, I actually, this is confusing to new folks, although you're not new, this is second semester, so you should know this already, but I'm just going to put data points of I times 2. How's that? Okay, well, anyway, that should do it. All right, and you should be able to get that. Okay, what's the next one? This is 5.7. 5.9 is the next, is the last section that has, this is reversing an array. This is one way to reverse an array. So read this, make sure you understand it's ways of reversing an array. Reversing an array's reversing the elements of an array. So read through that, make sure you understand it. Let's do two-dimensional arrays. So this is like an array of an array, or rows and columns. See, there's a two-dimensional array is like rows and columns. So this is how you express it. So it's got two indexes. It's got a row index and a column index. Yeah, so it's like each row has got, it's like each row is its own array. Each row has its own array, kind of thing. All right, so you go through this here, where looks like we're loading up this two-dimensional array. This is a two-dimensional array, two-dimensional integer array called driving distances, and it's got 3 rows and 3 columns. So we loop through the columns by looping this index. We loop through the rows by looping this index. Here we're actually setting the size of this array is 3, 0, 1, 2. And so here we're setting, this is row. This is row 0, column 1, 2, 0, 1, 2. Row 1, column 0, 1, 2. And row 2, column 0, 1, 2. And it's assigning these values. So there's 90. Not 9 values here, because 3 times 3 is 9. All right, so make sure you understand all this. What's this one? Oh, just 1. Okay, so what we're supposed to do here is this is kind of a dumb example, but we're going to read in these four values, and actually what we're doing is we're making we have a two-dimensional array called miles tracker. And it's got, this many rows and this many columns. And this thing here just reads them up. It's looped. The outer loop is the outer loop is the rows, inner loop is the columns. So it starts out at row 0 and does column 0, column 1. And then it goes to row 1 and it goes column 0, column 1. And that's all it is, because it's only two rows, 2 columns. So this thing just reads it up, and then we're supposed to look through all of them, go through all 4 of them, or all of them, and we're supposed to find the smallest one and the biggest one, find the maximum one and find the minimum one of all of them. Okay, so this loops through and initializes the array. And then let's just loop through and and keep track of the biggest one and keep track of the smallest one. That's pretty simple. So I'm going to copy this. Copy. Now I'm going to paste it right here. And so this loops through everything. And I'm just going to say, oh, I have to initialize. Oh, I can just say, what's it? It's max miles and min miles. I'll just say max miles equals miles tracker 0, 0. I'm just going to set it equal to the first one, and then it's going to loop through all the rest of them. And if there's one bigger, it'll set it bigger, and same with the smaller one. Min miles equals, I'm going to set it to the same value. These are just initialization values, 0, 0. So they're both just equal to the first value. And then I'm going to loop through here. And I'm just going to say if miles tracker, if the value is less than min miles, if that's true, then set min miles equal to miles tracker. We have a new minimum. And we can do the same thing for greater than. Oops. If we come across a value that's greater than what we had for max miles, then we have a new max miles. See? So in other words, we just initialize these to the first one, and then we go through all 4 of them, or go through all of them, all the rows and all the columns. And if we come across a number that's smaller than what we have for min miles, then it's a new min miles. So we set it. So if we come across a miles tracker value that's greater than what we have as max miles, then we have a new max miles. So this is probably it. I'm just gonna run this to see if it works. What did I miss? I'm missing a semicolon here. Well, you can fix this. All right. So that's it. I have finished all of the challenge. I almost finished almost every challenge activity in chapter 5. And so I hope this helps. Thanks for watching.